Hello, 1 minute, we're gonna stop for the red light and then I'm gonna tell you who I am. I am Bunny Sigler, known as Bundino Sigalucci. Aspetta, Madonna, Mamma Mia. Call me the God Brother. Bad mother, watch your mouth in the back. Ain't nobody in the back, I just figured I'd say that.
A seasoned performer and songwriter from the golden age of Philadelphia soul, this musician was always capable of making striking, memorable soul and R&B material. Debuting in the 50s with his own group and as a solo performer, he reached the higher end of the R&B charts several times. This vocalist actually earned much more acclaim for his work as a staff writer and producer, one of the major creative forces behind Philadelphia International's dominance of 70s soul. This singer produced and wrote for dozens of major acts, including Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes and Lou Rawls, to name a few. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Bunny Sigler. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born Walter Sigler on March 27, 1941 in Philadelphia to the family of Henry and Susie Mae Sigler, as a child, little Walter would walk around singing and making up lyrics and choruses to songs. Since Walter had to be born the day after Easter and his mother found out that he had a completely grown front tooth when he was an infant, he became known as Bunny. She commented that he looked just like a bunny rabbit and the nickname stuck.
That's why they call me Bunny.
Great.
When I was born, Bugs Bunny wasn't big, so that's why I didn't get the bugs on it. But I've been singing. The earliest thing I can remember in life is singing. You know, everybody has that memory. I remember singing little, whatever it was. And then going up through church and never knowing I was going to be a writer. You know, I knew I was going to be a singer at 10 years old.
He sang in churches and joined several local doo-wop groups, including the Opals, in which he sang with his brother James Sigler, Richie Rome, and Jack Faith. Despite all of this involvement, Sigler's real aspiration was to be a professional basketball player. On the other hand, he suffered a leg injury which put an end to his desire. Seeing that he'd have to look at singing in a different light, Sigler threw himself into music with a passion, recording for various local labels and singing and playing guitar and piano in area nightclubs. Sigler started singing and doodle around the piano one summer after a performance at the Ambassador Hotel in Atlantic City in an effort to come up with new ideas. Sigler was brought to the attention of independent producers John Madara and Dave White by Leon Huff, who suggested they check out Sigler's performance at the Red Hill Inn. Impressed, they signed him to a deal that led to the release of Sigler's first album, Let the Good Times Roll and Feel So Good. On Cameo Parkway, the first single, Girl Don't Make Me Wait, received both R&B and pop airplay.
But the only thing that you say to me is hold on a little bit.
Then Cameo Parkway suddenly folded. While waiting for his Cameo Parkway contract to lapse, Sigler began hanging around the hallways of Gamble and Huff Productions, singing, strumming guitar, and practicing his newly acquired martial arts skills with wall punches and kicks. The latter proved disturbing to visiting clients, prompting Kenny Gamble to recommend that Sigler sit in a room with Eugene Dozier and try to write some tunes. Sigler has never considered a career as a songwriter before. Quite an excellent beginning for a man with hundreds of published songs. Around 1970, Gamble and Huff Productions became Philadelphia International Records. When Eugene Dozier left the label, Sigler inherited his office. Sigler's songwriting break came when a tune he co-wrote with Phil Hurt, Sunshine, was released as a follow-up single to the OJ's million-selling album, Backstabbers. Other Sigler and Hurt tunes included on the Backstabbers album were World Is At Peace and Who Am I? The OJ's follow-up album, Ship Ahoy, has Sigler's first solo written song, You Got Your Hooks in Me, and the Sigler and Gamble tune, Don't You Call Me Brother. Sigler's songs, productions, piano, and backup vocals appear throughout the Philadelphia International Records repertoire. Sigler began looking for a group to form, and through Jackie Ellis, he encountered the TNJs, a vocal group that established a solid reputation in the tri-state area. Instant Funk served as the TNJ's backing band. The band's core consisted of bassist Raymond Earl, the Miller brothers, guitarist Kim Miller, and drummer Scotty Miller. One Sigler produced single released, I Think I'm Falling in Love, was issued by a local Newark label. In 1972, Sigler was given the go-ahead by PIR to start cutting tracks on himself as a singer and brought Instant Funk and the TNJs into the studio. The first single was the Sweet as Candy ballad, Regina.
If I had one wish come true.
Another single, a remake of Bobby Lewis, Tossin' and Turnin'.
Turn my pillow upside down. I never did that thing.
Gave Sigler his first chart hit, peaking number 38 on the R&B chart since. Let the Good Times Roll. Around 1970, Gamble and Huff Productions became Philadelphia International Records. In 1974, PIR issued 2 albums by Sigler. That's How Long I'll Be Loving You and Keep Smelling, released in 1976. My Music had the ethereal heart-tugging ballad, Somebody Loves You. And Sigler's Opals tribute, Just Let Me Love You Tonight. Though most tracks on Sigler's PIR albums have backing tracks by MFSB, a significant number feature the Instant Funk rhythm section. The section can also be heard on hits by the OJs, Archie Bell and the Drills, Evelyn Champagne King, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and others. With the Philly soul sound so hot, Sigler got a chance to work with a number of acts as a writer and or producer, including The Whispers, Ecstasy, Passion, and Pain. And Carl Carlton, he cut tracks for artists on Curtis Mayfield's Curtin label, including Mayfield himself, and made a duet album with Barbara Mason. In 1976, Sigler got Instant Funk an album deal with Gamble and Huff's TSOP label. The album, Get Down on the Philly Jump, had 2 singles that were popular in the disco clubs, the title track and It Ain't Reggae, but It Show Is Funky. In 1978, Sigler, bringing along Instant Funk, switched to Goldmine, a label started by MFS, B.C. guitarist Norman Harrison, distributed by Salsoul Records. With his first release for the label, Sigler scored his first top 10 R&B single with Let Me Party With You.
Come on now, party.
The album of the same name was a smash in disco clubs. When Goldmine folded, all of his acts were transferred to Salsoul. About a year after its release, and thanks to a Larry Levin remix, I Got My Mind Made Up, You Can Get It Girl went on to be Instant Funk's breakthrough hit. Both the single and the album, Instant Funk, went gold. Just like at PIR, Sigler and Instant Funk worked with the acts on Salsoul, Lolietta Holloway, Double Exposure, and First Choice, as well as acts on other labels. In the early 80s, Salsoul ceased operations. Sigler continued to write and produce, hitting with Somebody Loves You Baby, a million seller for Patti LaBelle, and taking Shirley Jones, formerly of PIR sister act the Jones Girls, to #1 R&B with Do You Get Enough Love. In August of 1986, he even releases an occasional single. Instant Funk toured for a few years, then disbanded. Sigler continued working with Raymond Earl, and both collaborated on some of the final tracks of Phyllis Hyman, PIR veterans Lou Rawls, Billy Paul, PIR side niece Stephanie Mills. In 1991, he resurfaced on an independent label, recording under the unusual name of Lamb Chops for the ballad and Count on Me. In 2003, Let Me Love You Tonight was released on the Grapevine imprint. Bunny sang the 23rd Psalm at the ceremony awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to the Tuskegee Airmen on the 29th of March 2007 at the United States Capitol. A year later, Bunny sang the national anthem before the Kelly Pavlik versus Bernard Hopkins boxing match. That year also saw the release of a gospel album entitled The Lord's Prayer for the 101 distribution imprint. In 2009, he penned a single and performed a number of concerts with the Israeli hip-hop jazz fusion group Kululu. In 2012, 2 albums were released for Bunny's own Bun's Music imprint, namely With Love and a Little Soul and When You're in Love at Christmas Time. As a writer, he penned The Rule Is Back, the opening track on the album The Blueprint by Jay-Z. In 2015, Bunny released the album Bundino on Bun's Music and Records. Sadly, on October 6, 2017, Sigler passed away from a heart attack at the age of 76. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song from Bunny Sigler?